Hello everybody out there in Flosstube world. This is Vicki, aka the Virginia Stitcher, coming to you with my Flosstube video number 55. It is still December 30th and I'm coming to you a few hours later to film my WIP parade that is on my Christmas and winter stitching that I have on the go. So I just filmed my 2026 goals video. So if you didn't see that, you can check that one out. And then this one will be uploaded right behind it. So I went to dinner with my mom and her husband, and we went and got burgers. There's a place up the street that has burger nights on Tuesdays where they have a deal on burgers. It's just like a pub, bar atmosphere kind of thing. So went and got burgers, and I came back and took care of my dogs and all that good stuff, and got back in here to film this next video. So I hope you guys enjoy. I have quite a few things on the table here, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Since I just did the previous video, I don't think there's anything else I need to say on updates of what I've been up to or anything like that, because what I've been up to is I ate dinner. So thank you all for tuning in again, if you're back again after my previous video. And I hope you enjoy seeing everything that I have that's Christmas and winter related. Okay, the first thing I've got is something, it's a lavender and lace piece. It's something that I started a few years ago, and it is the Santa of the Forest. I'm trying to think what the name of it is. This one is being stitched on 16 count sage / summer khaki Aida fabric. So this one's a stiff Aida. This one I started quite a while ago, a few years back. And I have this one on a scroll frame. So this year, all I've done is I've come in and I tried to work on this massive beard Santa Claus has, because I've worked a bunch down in here. But I thought I'd come in and try to do some more, a little bit more on him. And I didn't get a whole lot done. So here's my progress on Santa of the Forest. Let me put a board behind here because I see, and the lighting's going to be different now because it is dark out. So my windows are shut, and it's going to be probably a little bit different lighting, but hopefully this will still work and be good enough for you guys. But there is my, I just love that bear. Where I worked was just over here in his beard, and what I've done is I copied this page that has Santa's head, because his head is quite large. This is larger than this bear here. And I've got down to the end of his cape on that side. I still have a little bit more cape over here. But what I did was I made a copy of this so that I could highlight to help keep track of where I am, because this beard goes a long way in this piece. Quite a few stitches in there, and it's all swirly. So I needed to be able to keep track so I don't get off and make mistakes. Hopefully I won't make any. There's a little tiny bitty back stitching that still needs to be done in this bear around his eyes, and I think maybe in his nose. But otherwise he's finished. And the rabbit is finished down here. And a dove goes in right here. You can see the head of the dove and where the wings will go in. And down here will be a wolf. And on his shoulder is an owl. But I haven't stitched that in yet either. Because I still have, I can't push it over. I have so many bags on this table, project bags. I can't move this scroll frame over. But all over in here, I still have to do the other side of his cape that comes in his other arm. So, and of course Santa's big head. So that is Santa of the Forest. And every year I do a little bit on him. I'd like to get some more done. I saw Vanna Pfeiffer maybe about 2 years ago, worked on hers diligently and got hers finished and framed, and it's gorgeous. My bags are going to fall off this table. Oh well, I guess I'll be picking them up off the floor. Okay. The next piece I want to show you is something I just started. I just started it yesterday. Because I thought, you know, why not? Before I get started in all my new plans for the next year, I felt like starting this piece. So this one is the Kathy Barrick Christmas stocking sampler piece. I am doing the sampler version over here. And also, I want it to be a winter piece, so I'm cutting out Merry Christmas and these two birds up here. So I started from those trees in that snowflake. And I'm going to do that all the way down, just like this in the sampler. But I'm leaving out Merry Christmas. And I'm stitching this on a 32 count stone gray Lugana fabric, and I'm using the called for DMCs, her DMC conversion, and that's how much I have. Not very much, just that little bit. Started this blue motif here. This is the lighter blue color. There's two other blue colors. Got one of the white snowflakes and two of the trees. There are some like kind of like star toppers in yellow that'll go on both of those trees, but I don't have those done yet. That's it. Just did that yesterday. You can see all these strings hanging off because I didn't serge this. I just grabbed this piece of, this was a piece of leftover fabric that was long and skinny, and it was the perfect size because this piece is going to be about this long. You know, it'll fill in from about 3 inches from the top here to 3 inches from the bottom. And I think it measures about, on my count fabric, it'll be about 5 inches wide. So it's only going to be about to here, from here to here. Long skinny piece, and this piece of fabric was the perfect size, and it's a nice color to show all the white stitches and everything in it. So that's the Kathy Barrick Christmas stocking and sampler. So doing the sampler version. The next piece I'm going to show you is a small that I started a couple of days ago. It's one I've had in my stash for a while, and I actually had started it on a piece of fabric that it wasn't working out. I think the white wasn't showing up, so I switched. I went into my drawer of random remnant pieces of fabric, and I found this piece. It's probably a 28 count linen because it's fairly loose. You can see right through it. It's a loose fabric, but this one is by Cherry Hill Stitchery. I don't have a cover to show you because it's just basically on a little piece of cardstock with the pattern on it. And it has a little postage stamp picture of what it's supposed to look like when it's finished, which you're not going to be able to see anyway. So let me bring it in close. I thought this little snowman was just adorable. He is so cute. And this is going to stay. This one is by Cherry Hill Stitchery. It's called... it's going to say, "Snow is falling, hot cocoa is calling." So I have the start of the word snow. The O is a big snowflake, and then the W. And where it says is fallen, I didn't quite finish the N and the G. Then this will say hot cocoa, just like this, how it started. And then it'll say is calling, exactly like is falling. And there'll be another candy cane stripe down here, and then there's a mug of hot cocoa. And a couple of little other tiny snowflake heart motifs. And that's it. That's all. So this piece is close to half done already. This is a small. This is not very big. So it's called Hot Cocoa is Calling. And I'm not sure what the fabric name is on this one because it was in my remnant drawer, so I don't have information on that one, but I'm pretty sure that's a 28 count because it's very loose weaved. It's almost too loose. This next one, I haven't worked on it all this year, but I'm hoping to maybe get some progress on it. And this one's by Crocetta Gogo, and it is Winter Sampler, and it will look like this. And I had started in the upper left-hand corner, and I know I got one of those owls in and a little bit of the border, and maybe worked my way over to the house. I started this on November 1st of 2023, and I am stitching it on a 28 count wheat Lugana with the called for DMC. So, I'll get the project out here and find where I am. And here's how far I got. Excuse the wrinkles, it's been folded up in the bag. I thought that owl was majestic. And I remember I was off one stitch somewhere in here. I think somewhere in the owl or this tree. So I knew last year before I set it aside, I wanted to make sure that I got to the house, because I think I moved this post of the fence one stitch closer to this tree to make sure that everything would line up. So I wanted to make sure I got everything started to line up properly. And I love the way this border looks on this fabric and that owl. Isn't he gorgeous? He's just handsome. And I think this is a tiny snowman here. I think that's his scarf and the band and his hat or something like that. Let me look. Yeah, he's hard to see because it's really small, but there are little snowmen up there. And then it says the word winter above the house, but those are hard to see in the picture because they're white stitching. So that is my winter sampler by Crochetta a Go-Go. Crochetta a Go-Go, I believe is how you say it. Let me pull this up. I put away all my stuff that I was showing you earlier. I had taken everything out of the bags, but this time, because I have probably close to 40 projects sitting here, I want to make sure I put things back in the bags if I can, so I don't have such a hard time trying to figure out what goes in what bag and where. Now this is by With Thy Needle and Thread, and this is all bundled up. I've seen several people have done this one. So I got this one, but I also have in this bag, which I haven't started yet, but I have fabric picked out, and these other two. This one's Spring Fling, which is the one with the rabbit, and Gone Batty, which is the cat, the Halloween cat with the bats, the black cat with bats. So I have a green piece of fabric picked out for this one and a pink one picked out for this. But I have started the snowman. So I have them all in this project bag together. The snowman is on the blue fabric. I'm doing him on blue. I don't know what he was done on. Oh, he was done on like a yellow, a very light yellow, but I'm doing mine on blue. And I picked it up, I don't know, about a month or so ago and started this, and I worked a couple of days on it. Couple of evenings or whatever, and that's how far I got. So I got him started. A lot of white fill in. It's a big snowman face. So that, I have that set to go, because I have this green piece for Gone Batty. This one is Kiwi by Fiber on a Whim. And I got this blue when I went to In Stitches in Williamsburg, Virginia. This pink color to do the Easter Bunny looking one, the rabbit on. So I have all of these in this bag. Okay, next one is in a project folder, because this one I had taken on a retreat earlier this year, a little while back. I didn't get that much stitching on it though. And this one is by Leela's Studio, and this is Peace on Earth. This is her winter Quaker, her newer winter Quaker looking piece. New-ish, sorry about that. Instead of doing it on a tan fabric, I'm doing mine on a blue fabric that I found when I was at Salty Yarns in Ocean City. So this is a linen, oops, dropped it on the floor. Hold on. I don't know if I have the information on, oh yeah, I do. They write usually on a piece of paper, you're doing it with all the called for, it looks like all DMC. This is a piece of ice blue 32 count linen, just plain ice blue, not an overdyed. And I got a start on it in the upper left hand corner, but I didn't get very far because I only worked like a day on it, I think, at the retreat. So, so this is where I am on this one. I still have a thread hanging here for the moose. That's the start of the moose. I got a moosey rear right there. And one snowflake and this acorn and leaves. this upper corner. That's it. So I got a lot more to do on this one. But I love these. I have Summer at the Shore. I don't know. I don't think that's what it's called. The Summer Quaker one that she came out with, and the winter one, and the spring. I don't have the fall. I'm not sure if I'm going to get the fall or not. So that's where that one is. The next one is a fairly new start. I saw this on Teresa Kogut's website, and this one's called All the Things. And I got it off her Etsy page. I was on her Patreon, and I went to her Etsy shop and purchased this one. And this one's gonna take quite a while, but I just loved it. I kept saying, do I need another one with so much stitching in it? Because a few of these blocks, like this one, I don't know, there's a handful of them that are solid stitched. And I was like, that's gonna be a lot of stitching, not to mention the big Santa and the deer in the middle, the reindeer in the middle of the piece. But I loved it so much that I thought, sure, I'll get it started. I have a piece of 28 count Lugana in the color Gingerbread by Picture This Plus. And I just got started on, I pulled some greens from my Victorian motto stash because I knew I was going to need a lot of green, and I was just kidding from stash. I had this gingerbread in my stash. So I just started on some of the border. I just sat there and started counting in, because each line is 3 whole rows of stitching. So that's triple around each block. So that's going to take a minute to do. So I thought, let me get just started on, you know, just get that started so I can get this one going. And I started this, I think, back in November, when I was getting the mood to start some Christmas stitching. I decided I'd start this one. And then this other one, I probably started like 3 years ago. I don't know if the paper's in here, it might be. And then I lost the chart for like a good year. And then I was doing a WIP parade and it showed up in another bag. So it was probably during a WIP parade. Somehow I picked it up, the pattern, and put it in a bag with something else. Something totally random. I don't even think it was a Christmas piece. It might have been a fall piece. And I was like, why? You know. So I found the pattern and now I can stitch on it again. So this one got put away for quite a while because I couldn't find my pattern for it. And this is by Cottage Garden Samplings, and this one's called Peace on Earth Sampler. And all I had done was a little bit on the top border, and I lost it. This one looks like it is a piece of platinum, 32 count platinum Lugana. Whoops, I have a bunch of the threads stashed in here. Hold on. Sorry. Gotta pick them up off the floor, otherwise I won't remember what they go to by the time I'm done with this video, recording this. So that's how far I got. And then I lost the pattern. So, and then I started a million other things. But here I am on just some of the border. I saw this probably 3-4 years ago be stitched. It was stitched by the person I saw that had stitched it and finished it was Lisa, Kindred Stitcher on Flosstube. And I just thought, it's so pretty. She gets me when she stitches on things. Next thing I know, I'm hitting buy on things. So, and these threads were stuck in it. So I must have been, those were threads colors for the border. Whoops, I almost forgot my other piece of paper that goes in there. I'll be looking for that later. I'll get it in the bag. This one I started a while back. This one was, people were doing a stitch for, I think it was Ginger Shoal's birthday. And it was the Prairie Schooler Christmas Village. The one with 1,000,000 pine trees at the top there. I think I counted them and there was like 40 something or some crazy amount. Yeah, this one I started in 2021, October 29th of 2021. I might have already had it started and then we're doing her birthday sal, or I don't know. But I started it in 2021 and I'm doing it on Icelandic blue 16 count Aida. So there again, it's one of those Aidas. It's not super crunchy, but it is a stiffer Aida. And this is how far I am on the piece. So each time, just like with that other border and Newcastle bouquet I was talking about in my previous video, I'm trying to do some of these trees back here a few at a time and then go in and do the buildings. So that's where I am on this one. There's still some back stitching. You can see some random, looks like little ninja stitches because there's like a vine that connects them together. I don't have that in. I think there's also wording up here in this. There's supposed to be a sign here. Same with here. I think it says post office or something, you know, so. Haven't done the back stitching parts in that area yet. I did finish the, just the Prairie Schooler Village a while back and have it framed and it's sitting over there. So maybe eventually it'll end up on my wall. I did get my shelves in. If you watched my plans video I just put up, oops, wait a minute, here's the pattern. Uh-oh, hold on. Ay, people. I need to keep myself straight. It's a mess. I have to stay semi-organized or I would never find anything. Okay. My shelves came in. That were ordered them from Amazon. They're just little ledge shelves that are going to go up to put my all my pictures and stuff up. Have artwork on the walls. This one is I think I started this last year but didn't get very far. I only worked on it a day or two. And I'm doing it with some Gloriana silks that I purchased for it. This is by Kathy Barrick. This is Merry Christmas Wishes. I do need to pull this out and work on it again soon. Still not 100% finished with doing some Christmas and winter stitching, so. And the two colors I picked were Gloriana, where's this one? Gloriana, the only one I've worked with so far is Slate Green by Gloriana for my green color. It's kind of got pretty bluishy green, almost pine looking colors. And then there's a little bit of goldish brown color in here. And the fabric I'm doing it on is called Mayflower by Fox and Rabbit. And it is a 36 count linen. And I'm doing the gold parts with Lacquered Gold by Gloriana. I think, are they the called fors? Maybe? So it's just these two colors. I have two skeins of the green because there's a lot more green in the piece than the gold. So 36 count Mayflower linen by Fox and Rabbit. That's back in the bag. And it's not a super large piece, but there's still a decent amount of stitching in it. Oh yeah, and I didn't get that far. There you go. And this, sorry, little piece of fuzz. That's it. 1 and a part flower in that big tree. That's it. So that's why I'm thinking I really do need to pull this one out and get some more work. But this is one that I'm doing over 1/2. I'm using one thread because it's 36 count. And I don't enjoy, I mean, I know a lot of floss tubers love stitching with one thread. I don't. That's not my go-to. I like 2 threads, but I can do one. Just depends on the fabric, but I prefer 2. I odd that way, I guess. This other one I haven't worked on any this year either is Christmas Parade by Cottage Garden Samplings. And Dina, she used to be Crosshatch Quilts on Flosstube, but now she is Sit Stay Stitch on Flosstube. She stitched and finished this one. And she did a house tour of all her Christmas decorations, and this was up on the wall. I started this, I think, last year. And I'll tell you what, that Santa Claus took a while. He's a lot of work. I'm stitching mine. That's a grayish color. I'm doing mine on a blue. This one is, it looks like a Bee Stitch Me. Lugana. Even weave. Do I have anything that says, oh yeah, it is a Bee Stitch Me. Here's the tag. It is 28 count Morning Fog by Bee Stitch Me. Let me see if I can. So basically I've done pretty much the Santa. I think he's missing his eye. The stitches for his eye. And a little bit of that, and his buckle. Well, for some reason I don't have the buckle in his shoe over here, but I do in the other one. So he's pretty much done. And then I was doing a little bit of all that white stitching in the design. But I want to get to the animals that are parading behind him because they are so stinking cute. The squirrel, the fox, the bunny, the deer. So there's a whole bunch of animals that are trailing along behind him. So my Cottage Garden Samplings Santa Claus. That's Christmas Parade. Okay. Trying to make sure I get everything back in its bag. I don't want to lose a piece again like I did before. Okay, this one I started a couple of years ago, and this is by Tiny Modernist, and this is the Jolly Christmas Bell Pull. Started at the top. I didn't do the Santa Claus yet, but I started at the Santa Claus hat. I still need to put the Santa, the sleigh, and the reindeer at the top. And I'm about halfway down this one, I think. And this looks like it is a piece of taupe Lugana, probably 32 count, because taupe is a nice color to show white. Taupe and vintage country mocha and colors like that. Nope, I'm not even halfway, I don't think. I think not quite halfway. That's how far I am. I have not picked this one up this year yet either. But like I said, I don't have Santa and the Santa sleigh and reindeer up here yet. And then I have to keep working down the rest of this. And there's some snowflakes around his hat too that need to be put in. But the next is the cookies, the milk and cookies. And then the sign that says Santa, stop here. And then we got his legs coming out of the chimney with some presents at the bottom. So there's still a bit to go on this one. The next one I started a long time ago. I started it probably at least 5 years ago. This next one's on a crunchy Ada. But I love it on the color. I don't think I'm going to restart it. It looks fine. The Ada slowly will soften up if you can stick with it long enough. And this one's by Sugar Stitches. And it's a Marshmallow World. And this is just adorable. This is an adorable Christmas piece. And I know Jen, the caffeinated stitcher, is doing this one. I remember she asked me what fabric I was doing mine on and all that kind of stuff. So I think she's doing it on the exact same fabric. And it's with just DMC colors. And this fabric is cocoa. I can't remember. I remembered what back in the day, but it's been so long now, and I don't have a piece of paper in here telling me what it is. But this is how far I got on this one. I pulled it up for a little while this year, and I think I got this cookie in, and these couple of candies, and I started on this other ornament that's hanging here. And I may have brought the border the rest of the way down and around the corner. But it's on a 16 count Ada, so you can see. But look how really pretty the colors are popping on this color. So I'm going to stick with it and continue on. Because slowly it softens up. This one's not too bad. for crunchiness. Did I eat? Oh, here we go. 16 count amber Ada. It's on the color amber. If anybody has inquiring minds and wants to know. Okay, so this next one, what's in here, is, oh, I was just working on this not too long ago. Because I started this one a long time ago too. This one was probably started back in 2020, probably in 2020 would be my guess. And this is Kringles by Little House Needleworks. And I am trying to get that roof finished on this piece, get that upper level done. I love doing brickwork and stuff. I was sitting there watching Christmas movie the other day, probably about a couple of weeks ago. And I got this out and I thought, you know what? I just want to, this one's on a 16 count Ada. Let me see, before I forget to tell you. Amber, also, just like It's a Marshmallow World. Like I said, in the beginning, when I got back into cross stitch in about 2019, 2020, I had Ada in my stash, and that's what I was stitching with. And then I found Lugana, and I thought, oh, I love this stuff. So, but here's where I am on this one. So I came in, I was watching a Christmas movie. I was watching It's a Wonderful Life. It's funny how you can remember these things when you're looking at a piece. And I came in and I filled in all of this roof here. I already had the snow put in and the dormers and the railing here, the fencing looking stuff. But I put in all of these shingles, and then I came in and I put the one color of the shingles in on this side. So I still need to fill in the other color. There's a lighter color here. It needs to be filled in over here. And then these two dormers are in, except if you look real close, there's gray here that fills in a little bit. I need to come in and put those gray stitches in around these two and finish filling in the shingles. So I'd like to see if I could get that done this winter before I set this one aside. But that's as far as it is. I don't have any more down, just this top level. So I kind of filled in pretty much got this filled in, this first window. And then I still need to fill in these other two and do the other two levels of this store. But it is a really cute piece. So I really do want to continue on with this one and keep working on it. So a lot of these I started quite a while ago. The problem is I don't stitch on Christmas stitching all year long. And there's so many Christmas stitches that I love that I have a lot going, Christmas and winter. But then about February, I start wanting to stitch, you know, spring and summer, or my samplers, my reproduction samplers and things, and I put in my Christmas stuff for the most part. This next one is a Barbara Anna Designs. And this one's called Let It Snow. Yeah, Let It Snow. Looks like that. The scissors. This was one of my New Year's Eve starts that year that I did 12 by 12 New Year's Eve about 3 years ago. And I'm doing this on a 32 count Lugana in some color of blue. I don't think the tag is still on it. I already have something earmarked I want to stitch on the other side, but this is how far I am. So when I did it for the New Year's Eve start, I think all I had was a little bit of this black stitching, this little bit of swirl here. I think I started over here. So I had pulled it up and I have worked all the way across the top of the scissor there. I kind of got the scissors in, and then I started filling in some of the elements, little houses and stuff. But this is half of this piece. The other half in this bag I have Cottage Garden Samplings, the Fox from her Year in the Woods series from the first year she did it. And I wanted to put him on here, but he's not, I didn't want to start him yet because I have so many starts. But I think the orange of him is going to look gorgeous on this blue fabric. Not sure what the color is of this fabric. Wait, I might have it. Do I? No. Sometimes I keep the tag or whatever came on the piece. But it's not an overdyed. It's just a blue, a dark blue. but I don't know what the color name is. Sorry about that. Sometimes I know, sometimes I don't. The next piece is, I started, it was one of my very, very first starts when I got back into stitching 6 years ago or whatever. Because I stitched for years and years and years, and then I kind of put stitching aside for maybe about 10 years, and I got back into it again with a vengeance back in 2019. This one is Hot Cocoa by Shannon Christine Designs. My younger daughter bought me this for Christmas, this pattern. Oh my gosh, get out of there. Now it looks like this. And I know Risa asked me, you know, what I was stitching this on and stuff. And so she has finished hers a long time ago. I'm doing with the call for DMC colors. I'm doing it on a piece of Ada, and I want to say this is either dirty or amber, but I don't have anything written down. And this is how far I am. So I'd like to get this one done possibly this year. This is a smallish piece that I want to try to pull up and finish. I've got a bunch of smalls or almost all dones that I'm thinking of, and this is one that possibly I could get done this year if I just pull it up and work on it, because this is on an Ada. But like I said, it's kind of softer. You can see how it's kind of floppy. It's not too bad. And I want to get it finished because it is cute. I do love it. It's just I got so many, and like I said, Christmas and winter, trying to see if I can make myself pull up some of my out of season stuff out of this, you know, out of the season. The next one is Jingle All the Way by Little House Needleworks. And it looks like this. I started it maybe 3 years ago-ish. And I know I have the barn all the way done, and I started on the house on this one, and a couple other little things are in it. This is just, I'm stitching it with the called fors, I believe. Oh, it looks like I have the name of the fabric. I am doing this on 32 count Lugana in the color, what is that? Dove. Dove is like a really pretty blue, like a grayish blue color. So, and I'm probably going to have a good chunk of this left over. I could do some smalls on. But here's where I am on this one. I love the barn, how it came out. Came out really nice. And I've been working on the house, got the fence done, and there's some trees and some quilts and a sleigh on here. This is another one that would not be too hard to finish if I just pulled it up and worked on it some. So that's my Jingle All the Way piece. But I think the barn is the end, so it's only this wide. And then it says Jingle All the Way and has a sleigh and some quilts down here. So this one would not be too hard to finish if I just could focus on it. So I do have a list of a bunch of smallish or soon to finish pieces that I have on a list that I'm trying to, I'll be trying to rotate in smalls this year to see if I could get those, how many I can get finished this year. This is another one. This is one that's on an Ada. I think this one's on Dirty Ada, I want to say. And it's by Little House Needleworks, and it's Lantern Lane. Started this forever ago. Finished the house on this. I got a lot of this done. This whole side over here is finished. All I've got to do is a little bit over here. So I'm thinking this is one that could be considered like a small to finish, because it's not impossible. It's on a 16 count Ada. This was one that I didn't have the overdyes. This was way back when I was just stitching for my stash when I got back into stitching. And I basically had DMC, so I didn't have the overdyed here. So I just took 2 DMC colors and mixed them up in the tree. I'm doing the same over here with the topiaries, using the 2 different greens. I did the house color in 2 different colors of red and made it look like slats. So I didn't have a whole bunch of overdyes to work with. But all I got to do is fill in this where it has, I think, yeah, the year. And then there's a little bit of stuff over here. There's a plant. Because I'm not, and I got to finish this across the top border, the holly berries. But I'm not going to do it across the bottom. I'm just going to leave it at the fence. I don't think it needs it. So that is, I'm hoping the lighting's fine with it being nighttime. But that is, if I bring it up close, you probably can see it pretty good. That is my lantern lane. I think I had the overdyed for this part down here, this brown. Looks like there's a little variegation going on because the roof is, I think, in that same color. But I want to get this finished. And I want to say this is dirty, 16 count dirty Ada. Okay. Well, that whole stack over there is done. So we're getting somewhere. The table's starting to clear off a little bit and my stack on the floor is getting higher and higher. This is another one I started forever ago. Actually, I restarted it because I picked an Ada that I purchased off of an Etsy shop. And the color was really pretty and I started stitching on it, but I don't know how the person dyed their fabric, but it was like there was a coating on the fabric. It was almost like rubbery-ish, and it was hard to poke through the holes. And after I got about a quarter of the way done with this, I thought, this is ridiculous. I don't really like stitching on this fabric. It's terrible. So I got out another piece of Ada, because this was another one that I started a long time ago. So this is a 16 count country. Let's see. What is this? Blue. Something blue. I'm trying to read through the thing. What is this color? Antique blue. Because I know it's kind of a grayishy blue. Like a greeny gray blue. This one is by Carolyn Manning. And this was Winter Wonderland Garden Labyrinth. Isn't that really pretty? This is gorgeous. When I was in Ocean City, I was sitting next to a lady that was stitching on this. She was almost done with this. Fabulous looking. I thought, you know, I have to get mine back out because I'm not even quite a quarter of the way through this. I'm in this one corner because I had to restart it. And that's how much I got done. That this is on Antique Blue 16 count Ada. Isn't that pretty? So that's how far I got on this one. Not too far. But I love it. I think it's really pretty. And when I saw hers, I thought, oh my, this was gorgeous. Another one that, oh my gosh, a lot of these are old that I need to just get finished. This one's by Stacy Nash. This is Gathering of the Greens. Probably started this in 2019 or 2020. Looks like that. It's kind of harder to see sometimes Stacy Nash's because her pictures are kind of dark. This one I started back in January of 2021. I'm doing it on 16 count Ada in the color Heritage. But I changed a lot of the colors because I was stitching from, this is a soft, this is by Picture This Plus, Heritage. I switched out a bunch of colors because I was stitching from Stash. But I looked at the picture and was trying to get close to the colors. And this is how far I got. I got that whole house finished. And the one side of the border all the way done. It's not much bigger than this. I think where those trees are down at the bottom might be the, well, there's one more tree past that. So it goes a little bit farther, maybe only to about out to here. And that's how tall it is. It's not a super large piece, but that's where I am with it. So I need to pull this up. Maybe I need to have like a wheel or just a WIP board or something that's all my old pieces. All the things that are, you know, hanging around that I started 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. Because in January, yeah, this next month, this will be 5 years that I started this one. Okay. This one I just started last year, I believe. This one's a Prairie Schooler. This one's not a very large piece. It's called Buttoned Up. Button Up. And I forgot who I saw did this one, and it just looks so cute. It's not, like I said, it's not super large. I think when it's finished, it's only going to be like a 10 by 10 square. It's not real big. This is on a piece of Lugana, probably 32 count maybe, and it's one I bought. It's a kitten stitcher color, but I can't remember the name of it, but it was a remnant piece, and I most of the way got that square done, but you can see I didn't finish like the house, that one house, because it has to be colored in and stuff. And then I started this one up here as part of where a kid is ice skating, and this is part of like the ice, I guess, for the pond. Isn't he cute? So, and then I didn't work on it. I think I only worked on it a couple of days and it got put aside. And it's being stitched with the called for Adas. And like I said, this piece of fabric is not that big. It's not a huge piece. I mean, this is how big it is. You know, within these, you know, within margins. Cute, really cute one, but I don't have very much done on this one, so I can't see pulling this one up and saying I could finish this one along with everything else. But like a few of those old pieces that are already like half done and they're not that big, I like this one here. This one's not super old, but it's not a super big piece. This one is by the Bay Fabric Needleworks. It's called Winter Cove, and it looks like this. Look at all that icy, cold. You can see the icicles dripping off the houses and off that tree. I'm doing mine on a blue fabric. Looks like a Lugana. Look like a grayish blue. It was probably a remnant in my stash because it looks like it was cut off of a piece. And I started at the bottom and I got that far. So all I have to really do is the tree and all of those snowflakes though in the sky. The heavier stitching was down here. This is where all the solid stitching was. But then I just got to bring this tree trunk up, you know, the tree branches. I still have to do this. So there's all those white snowflakes and stuff to do, and the moon. But isn't it pretty? Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. They had a model of this stitched up at Salty Yarns when I went last December, not this year, but the year before. They put out seasonal, they do a seasonal table up front usually. And somebody had finished this, and it was so pretty. So pretty. This is another one. It's old. I haven't probably worked on this one in 2 years. Because there's a big crazy deer on this, and I have a deer rear done. This one is by Kathy Barrick, and it's called And Heaven and Nature Sing. If I can get it out of the bag. I'm losing the pattern. So it looks like this. And that deer is no joke. Pick up my pattern piece so I don't lose it. This is the only piece of Jobelin that I have. I picked this up from somewhere. And Jobelin, it's like stitching on a tablecloth. It's kind of thick. So I'm not a super fan. I love the color, but I think it's an even weave, but it's just a lot thicker. And that's what I've got done on this one. And I don't even know what the color of this fabric is. I just know it's a Jobelin fabric. I think I picked it up off of Salty Yarns has an area where they'll have pieces in just bags that they'll price, you know, $6 for a piece or whatever, and you can go buy pieces of fabric like leftovers. This was a pretty good size leftover, but I'm pretty sure. And then when I started this, I didn't know what Jobelin was. I'd never worked on it. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Yep. 28 count Javelin. And I did get it at Salty Yarns. What does the tag say? Clay. It's the color Clay. So I picked this color up and thought, wow, that's really a neat color. But it's so thick. I don't know if I'm going to end up restarting this or not. I'll have to pull it up and try stitching on it again and see what I think about the fabric. Because there are just some fabrics that I just can't, I don't enjoy stitching on. Either the really super loosey-goosey, wobbly linens that are like super, where they wonk up, they look wonky when your stitches, if you're not careful, they can make your stitches look all crooked. Or super, super tight or super thick or super crunchy fabrics. It's not my thing. You know, everybody has what they love to stitch on. And I've learned what I like to stitch on more than what I don't. So I'm a little bit more careful at what I purchase now to start stitching on, because I do know, oh, I don't like that kind of fabric, or I know I don't like that kind. Because once you try it and you don't like it, you live and you learn kind of thing. It's just like anything. You have to decide, you have to find out what works for you. This one is on a piece of Jody fabric, it looks like. 32 count Lugana. It was dyed by Jody from Steel City Stitchers. And this one is the Country Cottage Needleworks Snow Village series. So I have the whole of the series. Well, I had done that one at one point. But I was wanting to do all of these on one piece of fabric, and I was sitting there scribbling how I wanted to do them. I was like, no. So I was doing a lot of figuring, people. I was trying to figure. So this is a beautiful blue color. I got this far, and that was probably 2 years ago. But isn't that pretty? This is like kind of a purple. There's little bits of purple in this blue. It's very pretty. And the white colors, sorry, itchy nose. The white colors are really popping on this pretty blue. It's just really pretty. But it's going to take a little while because I haven't worked on this one in probably 2 years. So like I said, in 2024, I was doing all the starts, 62 new starts. Okay. And that's why I'm saying I need to whip those whips. If you watched my plans video, I said this is going to be a whip those whips year. I'm trying to finish more than I start. I'm really going to try not to start anything. I'm really trying to put myself on a no-buy for stitching until I go to Salty Yarns in April, because I don't need anything. This is just my Christmas and winter, people. This one is by Shannon Christine. This was going to be a snow day piece, but I'm like, you know what? This is going to take forever if all I do is stitch on it when it snows. It's gorgeous, but it's got a lot of white stitching, and I'm already kind of getting a little tired of stitching with white. But this one is Winter Snowfall. And she had lots of variations of colors that you could do. The white with blues or pinks or just greens, all different colors. The colors I picked, because I just picked my own. I just looked through my DMC, and I picked 3 colors. I picked, of course, B5200 for the white. And then my darker blue is going to be 3760. And my lighter blue is 3761. So I'm doing these 3 colors. Whoops. On dark cobblestone, 32 count Lugana. It's in the color dark cobblestone. And I got a little start on it a couple of years ago. This was probably was this one of my 62 new starts? It may have been. And that's where I am. That's what I got. Just the start. But look at how that white is popping off of this dark fabric. And then I wanted to test the color. So I counted down and did this one little tree. Just so I know I like the colors, I can move on and keep on going with this. Have I kept on going with it? No. But that's where this one is. And it's going to be a gorgeous piece. When it's done, it will be a masterpiece. But that is what I'm doing with this one. Got several skeins of B5200 in here because I'm like, I don't know how many skeins it's going to take to do this one, but I'm prepared. And because DMC keeps going up in price, I think it's up to, even on 123 Stitch, I think it's up to 72 cents, something like that, a skein. They sell some DMC colors in cones, which is about, I figured out it's equivalent to something like 56 skeins of DMC, but for much cheaper. It makes it like 40 something cents a skein. That was what it would work out to. And I figured, you know what? Black, white, ecru, and B5200. I have a cone of each of those now. This one I'm restarting because I'm not liking, this one is on a piece of fabric by Fortnite Fabrics, and the stitching is too tight. It's too bulky, too puffy with 2 threads on this one. My piece is sticking to the vinyl bag. This is Quaker Christmas 2. Sorry, I'm showing the pattern. Quaker Christmas 2 by Bygone Stitches. It's this one. Probably have seen people working on it. Not a great cover photo because you can't see the whole thing. Chopped off over here. It's crinkled up over there, but you get the gist of what it is. Just uses green and red floss. I've seen people do different things with it. But this is a Fortnite Fabrics piece of Lugana. So it's a plumper, tighter, just like picture this plus. And this is in a 32 count. And my problem with 32 count, like I was saying before, I think I was saying it in my previous video. If it's a over-dyed Lugana, I usually get 28 count now. Because like I said, you live and you learn what you like. And I like to stitch with 2 threads. So on 28 count over-dyed, 2 threads looks nice. And on non-overdyed, when it's just a plain Lugana, like an ecru, off-white, whatever, you know, like the cobblestone, the dark cobblestone was just a plain Lugana. I can do 32 count and my stitches look perfect because that's an equivalent to a 16 count Aida. So this is Fortnite Fabrics, and this one is Plush by Fortnite Fabrics and 32 count. But because it's an overdyed, I was stitching it with 2 threads, and I was not enjoying it because it gets really hard to get, you know, my threads, it just starts getting way too plump. It starts looking real bulky, and that's kind of not my thing. I like good coverage, but I don't like it to be super bulky. So then I turned it around and I thought, let me try, here's the back. Let me try with 1 thread. And yeah, I'm not getting this complete solid coverage, but good enough. And it's not so bulky. So I'm going to try that. So I've restarted and we're going to see, because this looks nice when you're just looking at it far away, but stitching on it is really a pain. If you've ever stitched something that like it's very thick, like if you're trying to do like a dimensions kit and they say, you know, stitch with 5 strands or 6 strands, and you're pushing it through that fabric and you're like, oh my gosh, this is way too bulky. That's what this feels like. And it's not really enjoyable to stitch when you're really forcing the threads and trying to get them to lay nice and not be, I don't know, weird looking. They don't lie nice and flat. It's hard for me to explain. If you see it in person, you would see that it looks kind of like, it looks like it's too much. Like you're trying to cram that thread in there, in that space, and it doesn't quite fit. It's like when you try to cram a bunch of stuff into a box and the box starts kind of puffing out, you know, and getting all wonky. It's kind of what your stitches do when you, at least to me. So this one was a restart last year. My little dog's just trying to jump up on my stitching chair. She's like, I'm tired of you sitting over there. I'm going to come over here and sit here by myself. This one was a restart. This one, I can show you where I was. This is Heartstring Samplery's, what is this one called? Christmas Bells Sampler. Looks like that. And I was stitching it on just a piece of off-white, like an antique white Lugana, 32 count Lugana. So like I said, 32 count because it's not over dyed is fine. And I was stitching it and I was like, it looks okay, but I'm not sure I'm loving it. So I wasn't pulling it up, but this looks okay. It's not awful, not terrible, not hideous, but I wasn't really caring for how the blue color. I picked the lightest blue color I found at the time. And then, I don't know, there was just something about, I loved the color of this variegated color. I don't know if you can see the variegation in that too much, where I did the words. So I picked it up, I looked in my fabric stash, and I found this piece. That's by Fabric Flair, and this is Stormy Gray, I believe. And then I changed a couple of the colors. I changed the bells to white, and I just like it so much more. All personal preference. So I've got it across, like kind of, I left that color because I did like that color, but I switched out, I know I switched out the bells. I turned the bells white instead. Let me double this over so you can kind of see it better, so it's not so see-through. And it's just enough. So that's how far I got. And I don't know, I thought the green colors were a little brighter or something. I don't know what it was with this one, but I like this one better. So I restarted it this year. I think I was messing with this in November. The only problem is I started counting, I don't know why, I started this far down, which I gave myself about 3 inches, but I think it's gonna come down to like here, like super close to the edge of this. But I have plenty of fabric over here, so I thought, you know what I'm gonna do? Because I don't have another piece of this in my stash. I'm just gonna cut this extra off here and sew it onto the bottom so I can, you know, have extra fabric. And it'll still be fine to frame it. So I heard the bells, or this is the Christmas Bells Sampler by Heartstring Samplery. And this I think is a 32 count Lugana by Fabric Flair. Which is printed on one side and blank on the other. If you ever have used a Fabric Flair before, the one side is plain, but the front side, can I get it open? Has the modeling, has this. The back side doesn't. It's just plain. So I'm loving this so much better. Makes me excited to want to pick this one up and get it finished one day. The way it was before, not so much. So I was like, it's okay. It's not as pretty as I thought. Yeah. Not sure what's in this bag. I probably haven't touched it this year. That's probably why. Let's see. Oh yes, this is one. This is Silver Creek Samplers. This is Christmas. What's this one called? My Christmas List. I have Christmas Rules, Christmas List, My Christmas List. My Christmas List by Silver Creek Samplers. And I was stitching it on something that it wasn't, the colors weren't showing up. So I had to restart it. Because the light colors, there's a lot of light colors in here because it's a winter piece. So colors like the white, kind of like feet, whatever, you know, I don't know why, but people would roasted turkey or whatever and put those little weird paper looking things at the feet. That's what's supposed to be there. There are white things here, white things here, white. The whites weren't going to show up on what I was stitching it on. Wasn't a dark enough piece of fabric. So then I had to go and I picked out of my stash a piece of Vintage Country Mocha Lugana. So Vintage Country Mocha is another one of those. It's kind of printed, a little bit of modeling, and that's only how far I got. Not very far. This is the start of the car at the top. It says family visits, turkey dressing. So I'm not very far on this one. I think I did that last year. I picked this up and I said, I need to restart that because I can't. So now every time when I'm trying to stitch something that has white or a very light color, that's not surrounded by other colors. If it's like the white shutters in a house, but the house is blue or red, that's the white's going to show up. But if it's white pieces that are out there touching the fabric, you're not going to, it's not going to show up. I don't think I have another piece in here. I'll probably put it in my stash to be restitched on. But I try so hard now to find a piece that I know the white stitching is going to show up, because I'm not one of those that I want to stitch all this white and you can't see it. You put your thing up on the wall and maybe it has white lettering and the lettering has just disappeared and you can't see it unless you get really close. I don't like that. I don't mind a little bit of ghosting sometimes on like some of the reproduction samplers, but I don't like, if I'm stitching a Christmas piece that has a bunch of snow and snowflakes and stuff, I want to be able to see the snow and the snowflakes. This one I started this year because this was a new release. It was a exclusive piece for a retreat. I think it was Farm Girl Gatherings Retreat or something like that. One of those that retreat out there. This is by Shakespeare's Peddler. This is Peace on Earth, her Peace on Earth sampler. So I signed up to get this from Farm Girl Dry Goods. So I picked this piece up. Started it probably back in, like I said, November, because that's, I think, when it came in, when I got it. I didn't care for the fabric. I got it kitted, but I didn't care for the fabric it came with because I started stitching on it and I couldn't see. What was I stitching that I couldn't see? I don't remember what on here I couldn't see. But even on this, on the model, there's, try not to get the glare. There's white here. You can't see it at all. There's some white snowflakes here, white snowflakes over here. You can't see it. I think this was on a piece of raw natural. It just wasn't showing up for me good enough. So I just picked up a piece of Lugana. I think this is a piece of light taupe Lugana. And I found a fat half. I don't know if I'm going to need all of this, but let me see. But I used the call for threads that I had ordered. So here I am. This is my start. See, I wanted to see the white border. I wanted to see the white snowflakes. So, and that's me. This is going to say peace. But here, there's this border that goes around here. Let me see if I can get the glare out. And you can't even see the border. I wanted to see it. It's just me. If I'm going to spend all that time stitching all this border all the way around the piece, I want to be able to see it. And I was trying to stitch it on that linen, and I didn't care for the way it was coming out. I just couldn't get it to work for me. So I said, you know, before I get too far, I'm going to pick a different piece of fabric, and I'll use that piece of fabric for something else. Because that's the beauty. It doesn't, just because it came with this doesn't mean I have to use it with it. There may be a piece that doesn't have as much white in it, maybe some different colors, maybe brighter colors, that it will look fabulous on that piece of fabric. So that is the saga of that one. So I did do a little stitching on this one this year. But then I think I had my retreat to go to, and I was working on some other stuff. I pulled out Bright Jolly. Oh, I have 4 pieces I'm not showing, because if you watched my plans for 2026 video, there were 4 pieces that were Winter Christmas. And one of them was Right Jolly Old Elf by Teresa Kogut. that one's, I'm not showing those 4 pieces again because I just had them out and I have enough to show right now. I'm already at over an hour and I probably still have about 20 things, 15, 20 things here, sitting here to show you guys. So I think I got busy, you know, I started working on the pieces. I worked on that at my retreat and the winter moon by Plum Street Samplers and things like that. So I didn't get a chance to get that one back out. This is Plum Street Samplers This Happy Morning. I haven't worked on this yet this year. It's got that big barn and all that grass at the bottom. That big barn. I'll tell ya. That's going to look cool when it's done. This just looks like it's a piece of cream or ivory, probably ivory Lugana, 32 count. And this is one that I questioned, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to roll with it. But I'm not liking the fact that the white is not showing up. I thought this cream, because if I hold it against like this white paper, I thought that that would be dark enough to show up my white stitches, but not quite. But this is where I am on this one. So I started trying to work on some of that design in that barn, because that barn is massive and has that design. It's 2 different colors of red. But over here, let's see if I can see it. There are a couple of snowflakes. So you can see them, but barely. But I thought, you know what? All of the red and green is really going to show up on this nice. So I'm not going to get too upset about it. And so it doesn't show up that good. You know, I'll live with it. Of course, I say that now, and you watch me show this in a couple of years and say, you know what? I couldn't live with it, and I changed it. I think this is going to be fine, though. I think I'll be fine with it. And I'm using all the called for, DMCs and overdyed colors, the Weeks Dye Works and Classic Color Works that it's called for this one. Let's see, what surprise do I have in this bag? Oh yes, this was another restart, because I started this one on a piece of it was a piece of Picture This Plus. It might have been a 16 count Ada. I think it was the color Legacy. Whatever the color is, that's kind of a grenishy color. It's got a little bit of greenish going on in it. And I ended up, I didn't like the, there's only, well, let me show you what it is. It's Blackbird Designs. It's in this book. It's called Christmas Garden. It actually was released first by itself, and then it was re-released in this book. And I got it when it was re-released. And it's Christmas Garden, and it really only has 4 different colors. It has a goldishy color, a redishy color, a greenish color, and a brownish color. And so I picked the 4 colors, and I didn't like the colors I picked. And then on that grenishy kind of fabric, it was just kind of washing out and didn't look, kind of not really what I wanted. Not the look I was going for, the aesthetic I was going for. So I restarted it last year, maybe, because I didn't get very far. So I just picked out antique white 32 count Lugana that I had in my stash, and I changed my colors. I can tell you what colors I used really quick. And I started at the bottom. Before I started at the top. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start at the bottom this time so it'll seem new. And I got that far. So I got Chris. And a little bit of the border, and the start on this little, looks like, this will look kind of like a Christmas tree right there. I wanted to at least get all the colors in so I can make sure I liked how it looked. So the colors I ended up picking were, it looks like Victorian motto colors. So to make sure I had enough, and I will just switch these on and off through here because they're very similar, but it kind of gives that look that Blackbird light, you know, and some of these antique ones do, where they're varied colored. And I have 2 greens. It's antique dried rose leaves and 1820 sage. They're very, very close in color, little tiny bit of difference. So when I'm doing the border, sometimes I just pick up one thread or the other. And as I do the different plants in it, then I have golden browns for the gold color. My other gold color was ghosting too much on the fabric I had. So I picked that one. And then I have cloves from Victorian Motto also for the brown. So that's what's my lettering is in. And then I picked two similar-ish reds. They're very close, but not quite exact. Dried cherry and red currant to make sure I had enough red and enough green. So they're all Victorian mottos. I looked through my Victorian motto stash and I picked these colors. So I'm just working, I'm going to work with all of these right here. So those are going to be the colors. And it's just on the antique white Lugana. And I really like it. I like it a lot better. In fact, I really want to get some more work done on this one. So, and then I have a piece of fabric that was, that I decommissioned for something. I was doing Gilage on this by Reflet de Soie. And I got this far and I was like, I'm not liking it. I don't know. It might be the fabric. I mean, the DMC colors that I wasn't liking. And switched to Victorian Motto. I mean, Vicky Clayton silks I ordered for it. But this was a piece of Fiber on a Whim fabric. I can tell because they like to put this kind of greenish-y splotches through their fabric. But I set this piece out because I still have a whole lot of it here. Because one day I was thinking I wanted to do the stockings that are in here. I think there's 5 of them total. And, you know, do the stockings. Because I have, I don't remember if I took out a, yes. I have a Silks for You. I wrote stockings on here because I want to stitch the stockings. PR 194. So I'm going to do that red for the stockings. One day. I haven't started those yet because I really need to get the Christmas garden going and done first. So that's sitting in this bag too. As a future thought, as a way to use this piece of fabric I didn't like for that other project. Because I was like, this bag is really bulky. Why? That's why. Because I have 2 pieces of fabric in here. Because I'm going to maybe possibly do the stockings on that color. That's a thought. Like I said, my fabric doesn't go to waste. If I don't like it for a certain project, I'll set it aside because there's been some that I've really thought I would like for a certain project, then I don't. But then later I'm starting something else and I'm like, oh, this goes perfect on this piece of fabric. And then I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I didn't use it for that other piece that I wasn't caring so much for. And glad that I switched because when it works out so much better for something else. When I'm kind of going, I don't know if I really like it. And it's not the fabric. It's just I don't like it for that piece. And then I pick it up and I like it for some other piece. This one is Noel Sampler by Brenda Gervais or With I Needle and Thread. Well, this says Brenda Gervais. Some of her stuff says by Brenda Gervais and some says With I Needle and Thread. A lot of people have finished this one, and every time I see it hanging on somebody's wall in their video, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to finish this. But I haven't had a chance to work on this at all yet this year because way too many things. And I'm stitching this one on 32 count Lugana in the color Limestone. And I think, am I using the called for? I think I am. I think I'm using all the called for colors. Pretty sure. Limestone Lugana. It's kind of like a grayishy with just a slightish tint of green in it. And this is how far I got. So that's my Noel Sampler by Brenda Gervais. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. what do I got? 3, 4, about 6 more, it looks like. And we're an hour and almost 20 minutes in. We're getting there. We're getting there. You guys hanging in? Haven't lost you yet? I'm trying to not take too long. Just long enough, but not too long. Like, show you the stuff. I'm hoping I'm holding it up long enough for you to see it. Let's see. What have I got in this one? Oh, this one I pulled up and tried to work on. I just didn't get very far. I'm having a hard time getting traction on this one. I love it. I think it's cute. Very cute. And this is Welcome to the North Pole by Primrose Cottage Stitches. And there was a stitch along people were doing a few years ago with this one. Maybe 2, 3 Christmases ago. And you what they were doing is like if you did one band a month, you could get this one finished. I think they started it in like, I don't know, September or something to have it finished by December. Looks like I have a piece of 32 count Lugana in the color Vintage Country Mocha. And I started it, see? And then I put it aside and I didn't work on it at all last year. And then I pulled it out this year and I started, I think I had the word north, but I put the word pole in and I started on the snow down here. And then I was like, kind of done. So I didn't last too long with it. I don't know what it is. There's going to be one day I'm going to feel like stitching on it possibly, but I just wasn't feeling it that day. So I set it aside because I was like, you know what? I'm not really feeling like stitching on this one. I'm stitching this with the DMC colors. They have either the Classic Colorworks and Week Style Works and the Gentle Arts, or they have the DMC conversions. And I must be doing the DMC conversion. Oh no, wait a minute. I have some of the colors in here. So a few of them. A few of the overdyes. And then the rest, the DMC colors. So I've got 4. I think I wanted a few of them where I knew a lot of that maybe the variegation would show, like the red, because there's quite a bit of red in it, like the choo-choo train and stuff. Oh, this was another one I haven't touched. I know it all this year yet. This is another village, but this is Santa's Village by Country Cottage Needleworks. And I have all of the pieces, and I have all of the buttons, and I have in each one I picked a lot of the colors in them are DMCs, but then when they had like a special overdyed in that particular house, then I went and I got the overdyes for it. So aside from the DMC in here, because I can pull from my master list, if you watched my previous video on my plans, I showed how I keep a master list of DMC. So I have, you know, everything I need for this. And this is another piece of 32 count Vintage Country Mocha. See, here's all my buttons in a little bubble pack, and I didn't open them yet because I didn't want to lose any. And they stay in the bag with this. So everything's in here, and well, no, I'm not pulling from the master list. I just have the DMCs, and then the house I'm working at this time has 2 Week Style Works that it's using, so those are on the ring. And then when I pull up this house to work on, then I'll pull that that color. So I have all of them to stitch them all together on this piece of Vintage Country Mocha. I was watching Dina the Nightly Stitcher, and she had a lot of this done, and it is so cute. And Vintage Country Mocha, I'm telling you, it's a good color. You can get it in Lugana, you can get it in Ada. I'm not sure if you can get it in linen. Not positive. You might can. But it's a good color for winter pieces, because look at how the snow pops off that Vintage Country Mocha. So I've got 2.5 of these houses done. This is Santa's house. And this one's the post office. And I think this is Poinsettia house, because it has the poinsettias out there. And there will be 3 rows of 4 houses on this. It's cute. It's adorable. And I have all of the buttons. You said all the stuff, all the accoutrement. I just need to do it. I just need to. If I had 10 hands and 50 hours a day, if I just didn't sleep, if I didn't have to clean house and cook dinner and have a life. I already feel like I spend a lot of time stitching. I probably should do more house cleaning than I do, but oh well. With my back, when it was hurting so bad, there wasn't much house cleaning I could do anyway. This is Kathy Barrick's. I loved him because he's just so funky. This is North Pole by Kathy Barrick. Look at this skinny Santa. And a lot of people have stitched him. A lot of people have finished him. But not me. So this one is on a linen. What linen is this? Needle and Flax Fragile by Needle and Flax, and it is a 32 count linen. And I think I'm pretty sure I'm using all the called for threads, but I think she usually uses a lot of NPI and then converts to, yeah, I'm doing the DMCs. But yet I have a couple of, it looks like overdyes out of my stash that I put in there just to switch the color up a little bit. So this is where I am on this piece. I haven't picked this one up yet this year. I worked on it last year. I think last year is when I started it. And that's it. Got that whole long skinny Santa. There's a bunch of trees and some deer. I still got all of that to do. Love this Fragile linen by Needle and Flax. I love her linen. It's a nice linen. Hers is nice. I'm picky on linen. Very picky on linen. Because like I said, there's linens I don't like. And then I end up not stitching on them. I don't like huge slubs all over the place, and I don't like it loosey-goosey. Like I have had some weak dye works I cannot stitch on. Even the newer stuff. I'm thinking I'm getting the newer stuff because it's been recent. So unless people still have old stash, then they're giving it to me. I'm like, I just don't like it. Even when I go to Salty Yarns and they have this whole cubby thing of linens, if I was like, oh, that's a pretty good, oh, that's Weeks Dye Works. No. Nope, don't like it. Every single Weeks Dye Works, I start a piece on it, and I have like 3 pieces on with Weeks Dye Works that I can't. It's sitting over in this, so I won't buy it anymore. But yet I had something came kitted with Weeks Dye Works, and I had to change my fabric. This one I started quite a while ago. This is Heaven and Nature by Teresa Kogut. This one's huge. That is a humongous house. And one day I will get this done. I haven't worked on it yet this year. I have worked on it, I think, the last few years some. But I haven't picked it up yet this year. Wait, these are some hanging threads. Sorry, I have hanging threads on this one. This one is a Fortnite Fabrics. They're defunct. You can't get Fortnite Fabrics from them anymore. They no longer exist. They don't dye fabric anymore. But this is Caravan Tan, 32 count Lagana. So this one's a little plush too. Might be why it's taking me so long. But look at that house. I got the middle part blocked in. And then I've got this much on the top section. But that's how far I am on this one. And I'm going to keep on with this. This is a whole, I had a couple of hanging threads there. This is a whole half yard of fabric for this. And I love the color. It's really pretty. And there's not white stitching in this one. This is like red, green, gold, and brown. So I can get away with a little bit lighter color. A lot of my winter pieces, I either do them on blues or a tan, a very darker, tan color, because I want to make sure that my white stitching is showing up. So that's where I am on Heaven and Nature by Teresa Kogut. And I started this probably 3 years ago or so, 3 to 4 years ago. I still got a long ways to go on this one. I have a whole bunch. If I could sit there and pick a whole bunch when I was doing my plans, if I could say, oh, I want to get more on this and I want to get more on that. But my plans doesn't mean I'm not going to pick up and stitch for a little while. And see, this is her fabric too. Perfect, isn't it? On this piece. So I know what's in this bag. Doesn't mean I'm not going to pick up any of these other things and I'm only going to work on that stuff. That's just focus stuff. And like I said, try not to start a million things. Okay, there are 2 pieces in this bag. This one was started forever ago because this is on a piece of Aida. And it was crunchy, but it softened up quite a bit. It wasn't super, super crunchy to begin with. So it softened some. And this is Winter Rose Manor by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. A lot of people have finished this one. But I started it back in April of 2021. And it is on this piece of dirty Aida. 16 count Aida. And I am, look, it's so old. One time I got caught in my Q-snap and it ripped right here. But I thought, you know what? It's far enough away from my piece. I mean, I've worked on this several times. But this is where I am on this one. So there's my house. I used a different color. I'll have to get that out for the house. So I still have to fill in all that snow. I still need to put that big flower pot up here, and a few other little things get filled in. And my border? No, I have to fill in the berries on this part of the border, and my border is done. But at least it ripped far enough away from my piece that I can still frame this piece. But it got caught in the Q-snap. I can't remember what happened, and I was like, I can't get the clamp off. And when I pulled really hard, I ripped my fabric. Rosy Glow. See, I used 2 whole skeins of Rosy Glow for that house by Classic Colorworks. I've been doing this, keeping the tags in my project when I finish, so I can start getting a gauge of how much I'm actually, this was over 2 over 1. So I'd use 2 threads over 1 stitch on 16 count Aida. So I can keep an idea of so I can start gauging really well how much thread I think it's going to take for a piece, because I'm always afraid to run out, especially with the overdyes. I'm afraid to run out of the color. So, you know, here's all my scraggly threads. So that was what the color I used for the house in this one. And it took 2 skeins of Rosy Glow. So 10 yards to do that house. Sorry, it's pretty wrinkled. So I got a lot done on this, and I want to continue with this and get this one finished. This is another one that was a thought to focus on a finish. It didn't make the cut for this year, but maybe next year, because it's one of those that it's like, if I focused on it, I could get it finished, because I've got so much done on it. I'm like 3/4 of the way done. So there's no reason why this can't get pulled up and get finished. There's one more in this bag, and I think that other bag is Prairie Schooler stuff. So let's see. This one is a new start I started this year. It's by Flossabilities. I haven't stitched anything by Flossabilities, and I thought this was really pretty for Christmas. If I can get it out of the plastic bag. So this one is Silent Night. I love the calligraphy. I love the, you know, the font for the word Silent Night. And so I worked really hard on this to get at least the words in. And I picked my own color. I'm doing this on a piece of 28 count Lugana in the color Moonstone by Atomic Ranch. It's a dark blue color. These are some of the colors I pulled. So a lot of it will be with these colors, but this was my lettering. So I picked from my Victorian motto and picked Caramel Cream for the lettering because it had some modeling in it. I don't know if you can tell that on the camera. And so did this one. This is Tumbleweed by Color and Cotton and Jamestown by Color and Cotton. So those are the colors I picked myself for this. And then there's going to be white in it. Because there's really not a lot of colors in this piece. It's like a tan, a brown, and then it kind of had, I don't know what color, a little bit lighter color for the wording. So I finished the words on this. I mean, it took me a while. I was sitting there working on it at night. I was in the other room watching TV with my husband. He pulled it in half so it's not so see-through. And I got the words in. Isn't that pretty? So now I need to do all the little stuff all around it. But I got that far on this one. And you see the variegation in that thread? I thought it was coming out so pretty. And look at the script. That is just gorgeous. I love it. So that's this piece. This Flossabilities Silent Night. And my blue is a little bit brighter. That's more of a dark navy. And like I said, this one is Moonstone by Atomic Ranch. And it's a Lugana. And I'm stitching with 2 threads. Over 2. 2 over 2 for that one. Okay. Put both of these back in this bag. I gotta remember I have 2 things in there. Such a big bag, I can fit 2 or 3 projects in that one. And this last one, pretty sure this is, yep, this is my, I have a lot of the flosses you need for Prairie Schooler Santas and things in this little case. And then I have some gingerbread Lugana by Picture This Plus in here. I think that's a 28 count. Then I have some, this one has a project on it. This one is, I have to look up the color. I think this is like a vintage or something. This one, no, these are vintage Country Mocha, 2 little pieces of 18 count vintage Country Mocha Ada. I mean, there's some pieces in here for me to stitch. All of these, because I think I have the one. I have this Prairie Schooler Santa, Woodland Santas, and I started the one with the horse, him and the horse, right here. And this is on, do I still have the tag on this fabric? Yes. 16 count Country French Golden Needle Ada. No, this one's not that. That's another one. I thought I had that piece in here. Or maybe that, oh, that's on this one. The gingerbread. I have a lot of pieces. I just have a lot of Prairie Schoolers. So I've been sticking them in a bag. And I have a hanging thread for the horse. But there's the Woodland Santa, the horse one, started. That's as far as I got on that one. But I can do all 4 of those Woodland Santas on here if I want to. So that's a big enough piece for that. I could do a couple of Prairie Schooler Santas on these. And then this one I think is Christmas Eve. See, I have several. I have a whole bunch more in another container. I think these were just ones that were on my radar to start soon. In fact, in my smalls for tomorrow, to start a bunch of smalls that I talked about in my plans, I have, where's the one that, oh, this is the other one that started. I have a couple of Prairie Schooler Santas that might start tomorrow. I have Christmas Eve on this piece of fabric. That's what was on this one. That's what this is. So I outlined it. It's only that big. And then that's the start of the sleigh in the back of the sleigh. That's it. But I got it. So it's a small piece. It's not that big. Neither is the Woodland Santa. So, and then I have a bunch more. You know, I have these Santas. I think I was going to do the one with the pole, the North Pole. And then I have this one in there. You know, Christmas Tree Farm. I have Happy Christmas. I have Evergreen. So, and then I have Reindeer Roundup. This one's actually on the cardstock. The rest of those are the reprints. So That's just in this bag. And then I have all of the Prairie Schooler Santas in another bag somewhere. But none of them are started. This was, I just put all of these in this bag and I had these two started. And that's it. That is my Christmas and winter stitching WIPs. These are the WIPs I have going. So you want to know why I said I need to do a WIP those WIPs year? That's why. Because this is just my Christmas and winter stuff that I have started. I have a slew of samplers. So another time I want to do a sampler WIP parade. I think I'm going to do a bunch of samplers that aren't necessarily like seasonal, but my non-seasonal samplers, ones that are just, they're samplers. I have a bunch of reproduction ones, Hands Across the Sea, Teresa Kogut, Blackbird, Plum Street. Looking over at my cubbies over there that have all my WIPs in them. So I have enough to keep me busy for a long, long time. So I wish you guys a happy last day of the year and a great year ahead. I really, really hope you guys have a great year ahead. Oops, I didn't put my flosses back in that. Got to do that. Until I come back with the next video, I'm going to start, I was thinking about that earlier. If I'm going to start all of these little things tomorrow, just get starts, there's not going to be a whole lot on them. And then I want to do my blessing sampler, get it started on New Year's Day. On New Year's Eve day, I'm going to do all the little starts up to New Year's Eve, or as late as I stay awake. So I might come back. Who knows? If I get a chance, I maybe come back in a couple of weeks. But I can't promise. At the worst, I'm planning on coming back at least in a month, like every month, once a month. But I have to go by what works for me because I don't want to get burned out. I don't want to feel like, oh, I can't do videos because I don't have enough stitching. I feel like I got to get stitching in so I have enough content to show you guys. I don't want to pressure myself too much. So when I get back, I get back. In the meantime, have a blessed new year. Bye, guys.